I'm a convert. All those people who told me I would prefer Mixing Station because of how customizable it is, you're probably right. I mean, that background color is gorgeous. I've managed to pick out a perfect background color there. Hi guys, it's Emma, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then welcome to the chaos. I do all things music related on here, from audio engineering style content to production and songwriting challenges to just talking about music and musician life. Today is audio engineering content, but it is very specifically live sound audio engineering content. So you may have seen this video, or this video, talking about getting a new mixer, specifically one of the Behringer Xair series, and I got the XR16 first and then swapped it for the XR18, which is what this video is all about and why I did that, and then just sort of a basic first glance review of it. Probably should do like an update and actually tell you guys how I've been getting on with the mixer itself at some point, but I feel like I still haven't pushed it to its ultimate limits yet to be able to really review it. So anyway, not the point. And then I did a video just exploring the app that you use with the mixer, because this is a digital mixer where the actual desk itself isn't really a desk. It's just a bunch of inputs and you don't have any faders or effects or anything like that. That comes in the form of an app. One of the main comments that I got on both of these videos, something that is also mentioned in a lot of the reviews of the XR series, is that a lot of people say that they don't like the Xair app, the app that is designed to be used with the mixer, and they instead use an app called Mixing Station. A lot of the people who complained about the Xair app generally crashing a lot, I haven't had that issue. Maybe I've just gotten lucky. I haven't really, like I said, I haven't pushed the mixer to the ultimate extremes of what it could do. The most that I tend to have going into it at any one time is 6 inputs at my open mic. So I think maybe if you were running more, like if you were doing a full band mix and you had lots of different inputs being used and all of them having different effects and stuff being put on them, that would probably be the point at which you would see issues with it crashing. So I personally haven't had any issues with the Xair app, but at the time that I got the mixer, one of the first things I did was I also bought the Mixing Station app just in case, because it was dead cheap. I think it's like £5 or something like that. I can't remember the exact price it cost me now. So it just seemed to me to make sense that before I took my mixer out for the first gig, I buy the Mixing Station app. And I had a quick look at it and I haven't used it since. Been on my to-do list to eventually check out the Mixing Station app and get to know how that works, because it would be a good idea to have a backup plan. It's always, in live sound as a general rule, it's always good to have backup plans. So I thought I would get to know the Mixing Station app today and film it and make a YouTube video out of it, because maybe it'll be informative and helpful and interesting to other people to watch. But it mostly is just because I need to get to know this app. So that's what I'm going to do today. Right off the bat, I just want to say, like, the main reason why when I first opened up this app and had a quick look at it, I then never went back and I kept going with the Xair app and didn't bother with this, other than the fact that I'd already sort of gotten to know the Xair app, was because my initial look at it, I just hated how it looked. I personally don't like it when things are like a black and red, and I also thought that when I first looked at it, like, this is, I would say, not as instantly easy to get your head round as, I'll just quickly show you the Xair app. So, like, if I look at this, the one big thing that is tricky on both of them is figuring out how you get into, like, your effects areas, right? Because on the Xair app, you just click on, like, the channel area. But once I'm in here, I've got a nice clear menu across the top that is labeled exactly what each thing does. So I instantly know this is where my dynamics are, where my compressor and my expander, this is my gate, this is my EQ. Whereas when I was looking at this kind of screen, I've now noticed there is actually a menu across the top here, but it's really not clear that this is a menu, right? This just looks like a bunch of grey boxes. The labels of what each thing in this menu are, they're tiny. And bear in mind, this is designed for use in a live sound setting. In a live sound setting, I really want things to be obvious and easy to find quickly. I don't want to be searching for stuff. Live sound is fast-paced. So I didn't like that it wasn't like instantly I could look at this and I knew where things were. I had to really look and analyze things on the screen to figure out where things are, because, you know, now you can see that these menus at the top, you do actually have ints, which will be your inserts, which will be your effects basically, and you have your gate there, and you have EQ here, and you have compressor here. Now I have also figured out that you can get into those menus by clicking on certain things on this bottom section as well, and, you know, you would notice the big EQ. That's a bit less difficult to find, but with the compressor and the gate, you have to actually look at the settings that you've got on each of them. The fact that you've got range here and ratio here before you realize, oh, okay, this is my gate and this is my compressor. The fact that that's before the EQ and the compressor is after is also a clue to it, because generally the gate is going to be going before an EQ and a compressor is going to be going after. That's how most people like to set these things up. But at the same time, it's not obvious. There's not a nice big thing at the top here saying gate. And obviously, once I've gotten to know this better, like, that won't be a problem anymore, because I'll know where everything is. But that was, like, one of the initial things that just put me off it. I prefer things that are simple and quick, and the Xair app was, you know? Things were clearly labelled. I found everything really quickly on my own without having to watch any videos or really do much exploring. Like, I figured it out really quickly, with the exception of the fact that it's really not that obvious that clicking on different bits of this will take you into them. And I don't like that this is quite so small, and that this remains the entire time. So like if I go into this channel bit, the fact that the mixer at the bottom remains, I don't like. So one thing I already like better about the mixing station app is that when I go into a specific channel to make alterations to like the EQ and stuff, the only fader that remains is the one for that channel on the side here. The rest of the mixer is gone, which means that when you're in the mixer is bigger, and when you're in the EQ compression bits, they're bigger. The fact that I can actually go into a proper screen and get a big full EQ, when you go into the EQ, for one thing, it's really difficult to navigate. I always have to use my pen to navigate in the Xair app, because these are actually quite small. It's quite a small surface area to click on, and that EQ is small, and these knobs are also quite small, and all of that makes it quite difficult to do all your altering quickly. Whereas in this, I mean, these knobs are tiny. I wonder if that's changeable at all. But this is much bigger. So I do like that, because this is going to be much quicker and easier to make alterations on, just because of when you're dealing with touchscreens, you don't want things to be tiny. I have been told that this app is extremely customizable. I think the first thing I want to check out, in fact, is how customizable it actually is. I'm assuming this will be in settings somewhere. So I've gone into the settings. Okay, so already we've got something down here called UE settings, and we've got a theme. And usually themes is to do with how things look. Let's come off the default. How do I just then come out of that? No, that hasn't changed anything, does it? Do I click load? Aha! Okay, that already looks better. What other options do we have? We have bubble. What does bubble look like? That's cute, but I don't like that this then ends up looking a lot like this. What does high contrast look like? Awful. High contrast looks awful. We're not using that. Solarized dark. Okay. Right, so of these, I think I like bubble best. Maybe I can customize it further. Let's see. What's in this? Okay. Damn, there's a lot here. Can I change the colors of things? That's a nice color. Do I just close? Okay. I can change the colors of things. Okay, that's the color of the outline. Oh my god, I like that much better. Right, okay. Let's see then. I mean, from how many things are in here, I am assuming I can basically just customize the whole of the color scheme of the entire app then. That would take a while, because they're not really labeled that well. Why have we got two different things called main fader? Why have we got something that's just called red and blue? What does that mean? Trying to figure out what's what is going to be difficult. Channel strip background is currently set to this black. Let's try setting that. Do I want like a dark greeny grey? Aha! See, I already like the look of that better. That's the button colour. Right, let's try. Let's make it kind of gold. I do like a golden colour. Oh no, that looks awful. It's because it's a gradient, isn't it? It was a gradient and I didn't notice that. Don't make it a gradient, make it solid. Okay. That also looks not good. I won't be leaving it like this. That hasn't changed that. How do I change this? What else can I customize? Channel strip. Ooh, okay. Oh my god, I can extend and I can make things bigger and smaller. I didn't want to do that. Make that bigger again. And I can change what clicking on different things does. So currently if you click the channel button, it opens the channel. Now that makes sense. Why would I want it to do anything else? So they're not going to change that. Apparently if you long click on it, scribble strip. What does that mean? Let's go find out. Okay. This is where you change the color of the channel. That makes sense because you'd want them each. You don't want to really make them all one color. you would want to set up different colors for different channels for different things that you use them for regularly. You'd also want to be able to save different versions of that for like different layouts. Like I have one for my personal private show where I'm literally just using like 2-3 channels max. But I'd have very limited options, and they're ugly colors. Can I change these colors? Oh, I wonder if that is what these were referring to. Because before we had red, didn't we? And magenta and blue. And so if a button is red, it looks like that? No, because the blue doesn't look like that, does it? The green I don't think look like that. Let's put the blue on. And then let's see if I can change the blue in here somehow. Ha! Let's make this actually red and see what happens. Okay. Now if I want to change you to red, it's actually red. Okay, so I can change those. What was that I actually clicked on there? I've got this recorded, so I'll be able to find that again. That makes this entirely customizable color-wise, which means I instantly like it much better. So, I'm a convert. Now let's actually get to know using the app, because just customizing it is just like a tiny part of it. These are layers here, so I can switch between these different layers really easily. So I could create my own layer, because this is what I have in Xair, because Xair also has layers, and I've been able to create a layer. How do I create a layer? Surely I can create a layer, right? I can move a layer. Can I make a layer? How do I just make a new one though? Can I make a new one? What happens if I duplicate you? Then I can edit you. Okay, so I can just duplicate one and edit it. So then I could take off these, for example, and maybe, you know, if I was running my open mic, I'd maybe want that. And then I would have bus 1 is my monitor. And then I also tend to have effects 1 and effects 2 in it. How do I now go back from that? Do I just go back? Or is that going to save that? It did, because when I go back, okay, and can I also change the name of it? Ah, there, it's there. I'm just going to call this open mic for now. Okay. So now we have that layer. Cool. Although it only shows up to effects 1. It doesn't show effects 2. And it doesn't like scroll or anything, does it? So it actually hasn't done that fully correctly because it's not showing one of the things I would have on that. So how do I get it to actually show effects 2? Okay. You can only have 8. Can you only have 8? Ah. Let's put 10. Ugh. Oh, that deleted that layer I made. Okay, at least I now know how that roughly works. What's in layouts? Okay, I assume I can save layouts of the mixer that I want to be able to bring back up again. So like an open mic layout, for example. Hard to exactly tell. There's definitely a lot more that you can customize here. But again, I don't want to get bogged down with all of that now. Customizing to one side. Let's actually have a look at the functioning aspects of using the app. So, very obviously, this first screen we get is this mixer screen. So we've got our faders, we've got our easy access mute buttons, we've got a mute enable button. Like, I kind of get why that might be useful, but I feel like that's also something I could accidentally do. And in the case of my open mic in particular, I wouldn't want to accidentally switch off the mute enable button and then be unable to mute someone's guitar and then they go and unplug it. So I don't know that that's that useful a button. I maybe wouldn't want it there. I think customization, though, I can take that out. I think that was one of the things I spotted in there. So I might take that out. Anywho, I'm not sure what this fine button does. Maybe that's something I would figure out what it actually does if I was actually had this set up and was using it to mix something. I could figure out what was going on there, but it's not obvious what that does. And so then also we've got easy access to the buses, easy access to the effects sends, because obviously that's how you send to effects, is you just up and down the fader on that effect send for whichever channel you want to send more of it to. Gain. Oh, we've got a set of gain faders. Okay. So what do they actually do? Like if I put the gain on this and then I go, because I know that if I go into the channel thing here, I've got a gain thing here too. And that's brought it to the same, hasn't it? So if I bring that back down to 12 and I come back out. Okay, I like that. I really like that, because one of the things I really dislike on the Xair app, I hate how many audio computer program things use a knob style thing like this. These knobs, these pretending to be a knob on a piece of gear that you can turn. I get that they've done it because it looks like the piece of gear. That looks more like, you know, if you actually had a mixing desk, then you'd have a gain knob most of the time. You don't tend to have a gain fader, you have a gain knob. And you turn that to turn your gain up and down. But it's not the piece of equipment it's originally based on. It's a computer program. Touch screens and computer mouses, right? They have click and drag or touch and drag, but they don't have turn, right? You can't really do the motion of turning a knob with a touch screen and with a mouse. You instead end up doing click and drag and trying to figure out, if I click and drag up, you always reach a point where you have to then go back down to drag again. And even as I'm doing that, like, it's literally going across buttons and stuff and saying, do you want to activate that? No, I don't. I'm trying to use this knob thing here. And I'm having to use a huge amount of the screen to make this motion that isn't actually part of the touchscreen area assigned to this knob. The point of things being a knob in real life is it's just really easy to turn a knob in it. It's not an easy motion on a touchscreen. Faders make a hell of a lot more sense on a touchscreen. Click, drag. And you see, like, you guys can't see there, so I'm just going to show you here. I am getting a bit of lag in that as I drag, it's not actually following the pen perfectly there. But it's still following it well enough that I'm not really having to use anything outside of the actual on the channel strip here that applies to the fader, right? So I'm not going to have the issue of traveling across a bunch of other buttons. And I know if I drag up, it's going to go up. If I drag down, it's going to go down. Whereas sometimes when you're trying to figure out the drag motion for a knob, you drag up and it won't actually turn it up because I've reached the 12 o'clock mark. And now technically the motion should really be going down to turn me. So yeah, I hate them. I hate how many computer programs designed around audio use knobs. So I had to have that rant because I really like that this offers me an option to alter something as important as my gain in a way that makes sense for the fact that this is a piece of software on an iPad. Okay, mixing station, you are earning a lot of points against Xair so far. And we got a bus master. Okay, that literally just brings up a screen where I just get the master fader for whichever bus I'm looking at. That doesn't feel that useful. Let's have a look at what's actually in our channel stuff then. So, we've got all our gain stuff over here. We've got our 48 volts. Okay, I'm going to give it to them. That's another thing I've just discovered I really like. So in order to turn on and off your 48 volts, you can't just tap it. The click and hold is what turns it on. I like that you can't just accidentally tap that and it switch on the 48 volts and switch it off. Because obviously, accidentally switching on your 48 volts, not good. Because Xair, it's just click the 48 volts and it turns it on. So the fact that it's got any sort of safeguarding in there at all for that is good. So then across the top, we've got this silly menu that I don't like. So this is where we would switch it to the USB if we wanted to do that. What does clicking and holding that do? Open up some sort of pop-up that I'm not sure exactly what's going on in there. We can set our signal sources in here, okay. Oh, we can automatically just apply a low cut to it. That's where all that is. So that's answered those questions. Here are our inserts. What if I turn them on? And then what? There we go. Effects. So I can put an insert directly on the channel then, can't I? And then set things for that insert. Ooh, we've got lots of inserts. I wonder if I'm going to have to do a direct comparison between the two apps at some point. I'm doing sort of little comparisons in this video here, but this is by no means like an actual comparison to decide which I like better. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that it looks like there's more in terms of effects that I can add on here. Anywho, let's not fuss with that now. Then we got our gate. A thing I noticed, because I had a little look last night, so just to try and streamline this video a little bit, and I realised when I was quickly looking at this section that things like the gate, the compressor, and the EQ are automatically turned off. So you have to turn them on. And I think that's the other way around on the Xair app. However, again, something I do already like better about the layout and the look of this app that I think makes more sense is that one, that says off and that says on, and two, like, it makes it really clear that this is it on. Like, it changes the colour of it in a way that makes it look like it's on. Whereas this is your on-off button here. And it is unclear, in my opinion, whether that is what on looks like or that is what on looks like. Now, my guess was that this was on, and then I did testings to figure out that this is, in fact, what was on. Nothing changes about this to indicate that that is on and that is off. I do like the looks of this EQ. I don't like this down here, though, for the same reason I don't like it on the Xair thing. This is tiny. Why is that so small? Compressor! You know, actually, I do really like that these have these graphic displays. I think I'm a convert, aren't I, guys? Oh, we've got a sends thing here for sending it out to buses and stuff. Cool! And for sending it out to FX. How do we change... Can I get to... Okay, so here is where I change whether it's pre-EQ, post-EQ, so on and so forth. That's simple enough. I was hoping maybe I could just, like, click on this and it would take me to the effects send stuff to change what effects are on the effects sends. But we're going to have to figure that out next. That's just a mixer thing. That's not going to help me. Is it in here? It's in here. Found it. That was nice and quick and easy to find. In comparison to a load of other things that were way harder to find in here, that was really easy to find. It's just in that effects button at the top here. Ah, okay. Is that because of what I did before, where when I was in here, I put this insert on? If I take that off and switch it for like a whole reverb, and then go into here, it does. Interesting. So does that mean anything I change on here would then also be changed on the effects insert on here? Yes, that is what that means. Right, but yeah, that's how we would then go in and I could change... How do I change you? Because I should be able to change this. But that's just opened the settings for it. I don't want to open the settings for it. How do I change it? Click and hold opens it. Oh no, click and hold does nothing. Yeah, click and hold. Ah, there we go, click and hold. That's how you change it. So I could change this to ambience. Just set that to a plate reverb. Click and hold can be a bit dodgy by the looks of things every now and then. Is there anything else I need to look at? Ah, I suppose the last thing I want to... Because this is just metering. And then this was my mute groups. I noticed that last night when I was having a quick look at this. Interesting that my mute groups are in here. But again, comparing to the Xair app, I do like that that's bigger than the mute groups buttons on the Xair app. Because they're not very big on that. That's our effects. What does this do? Ooh. Ah, that's how we get to the routing quickly. Okay, fabulous. So this is how I would set channel 1 to channel 1 on the desk. So vice versa. And then this, I'm assuming, is where I save things. So I've got scenes, mix presets, offline scenes, and then I've also got snapshots. I have that on the Xair app as well, and I never really explored it that much because I didn't fully understand what snapshots were. And how to use them. But I'm assuming scenes is like the scenes on the Xair app as well. So I have to select these to select what I'm saving, I think, is what scope is giving me there. I probably hit this save button. Yep, and then give it a name. Okay. I can create a folder. Great. Like a folder to be able to save things so I could have like different setups for my open mic for different people who come down regularly. How would I load something? I suppose I have to save something to be able to load something, don't I? So let's just save a scene. Test. I accidentally called that test Y. Okay, so I would click load to open it, wouldn't I? Ooh. Yeah, that's all correct. Ah, I like that it checks that. Checks that you want your mapping the same as it was before. Okay, cool. So that's how you would save and load a scene. I can rename it here, delete it, paste it and copy it. I think I'm going to leave my exploring there. I have answered all of the questions I currently need answers to. I definitely won't be using this in my gig tonight because I have a gig tonight to go out to. Maybe I can try getting myself set up enough to use this at my next open mic and see how I find using it at an open mic. Depends on how much time I can find to do stuff like that between now and the next open mic to actually get that sorted. But I would really like to use this at my next open mic so I can start getting a feel, because I think I am going to like this better than the Xair app overall. If anyone wants to share any tips and tricks and tidbits about using the Mixing Station app in the comments, that would be really helpful to me and probably to other people, so please do that. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like and a comment and all that stuff to say how you enjoyed it, and a share. All those things are good. And you might want to consider hitting that subscribe button. But I know that that is a big decision to make, so do feel free to check out some other content on this channel before you do so to figure out if you actually want to hang around. There'll be something recommended for you on the end screen. If you want to follow me on the various other social media platforms, those are also linked below, and there are links down there to where you can find my profiles for my original music as well, because if you're listening to the music on this end screen right now, then that's my music. If you like it, you can stream that. Links for all of that stuff in the description. There's also a link down there to my Buy Me a Coffee, where if you want to support me with money, you can do so either by a one-off donation, but you can also join my membership on there. Well, memberships. And those get you access to extra exclusive behind-the-scenesy content. Okie dokie. That is all for this week's video, guys. I shall see you next time with another fun music-related video of some sort. Bye!